Cruise news time. Well, we know there's a threshold for COVID cases on cruise ships, and when cruise ships hit that threshold, the CDC investigates. Many of you have asked, what does that mean? What happens when the CDC investigates? Well, I found an answer, and I don't know if it's satisfying or not. Cruise news. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Welcome back to the show. It is Saturday, March the 26th, 2022, and we're almost done with this month of March, and it's been a pretty good month for cruising if we think about it. The month started off with many of the cruise lines removing their mask requirement. We've seen good movement on cruising returning to Australia, and probably one of the biggest things that's happened is we've seen the CDC lower the threat level when it comes to cruising, and this has allowed cruise lines to sail with more capacity. And so if you were enjoying those days with 50%, 30%, half-empty cruise ships, those days may have sailed on. We're starting to see more and more cruise passengers on cruise ships, which is super exciting. But we also have to keep a close eye on cases on board. The CDC has a process in place for tracking COVID cases on cruise ships, and they have a whole set of procedures around how many cases are on board. Do they take action? Do they not take action? And one of the actions that they take is to put the cruise ship under investigation if they've reached a certain threshold. If they reach the threshold of 0.3%, not even 1%, 0.3% of cruise ship passengers and crew members combined, then the CDC will launch an investigation. I've started doing that weekly report, the weekly cruise ship COVID report. The new one comes out tomorrow. Make sure you're stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on, and you'll get that weekly cruise ship COVID report dropping tomorrow. But last week, the question came up quite a bit. Okay, there's 22 cruise ships that are currently under investigation by the CDC. What does that mean? Well, it wasn't super apparent on their website until just a couple days ago what that means. And so in their frequently asked questions, they answered the question, what does it mean when the cruise ship is under investigation by the CDC? And as I've read through it a couple times, it doesn't seem like it means a lot. I'll read it to you and we can have the conversation at the end. I hope I haven't prejudiced you for the listening, but let's go through it. The question posed, what does CDC do during a cruise ship investigation? Here's the answer that the CDC gives. If a cruise ship's participating in CDC's COVID-19 program for cruise ships is designated as orange, the ship meets CDC's investigation threshold. CDC notifies the cruise ship of the color status and reminds the cruise ship of the CDC's guidance on preventative measures. Now, you got to remember, there's a constant conversation going on between cruise ships and the CDC. Cruise ships have to report their case count on a daily basis to the CDC. And this first paragraph suggests that once a threshold is hit, the CDC reaches out to the cruise ship and says, well, you're orange. How about that? The answer continues. CDC regularly reviews the number of reported cases and exposed close contacts for ships in orange status. As needed, CDC may request additional information from the ship or discuss the situation with ship personnel or the cruise line's corporate office. If warranted, CDC inspectors can conduct in-person inspections to verify that all public health interventions are being implemented as recommended to control onboard transmission. There's a whole lot of maybe in there. So, okay, first off, the cases are reported daily. The cruise ship reports the cases. The CDC says, oh, you're in orange status. You're under investigation. We're reaching out to you to tell you that and make sure you know all of the processes. Then it seems like they're just watching. They're just watching the numbers to see if they go up or down on that daily count. And they may do something. They may reach out to the cruise ship. They may reach out to the corporate office. They may send an inspector on board to see everything. It could happen. It could happen. They finish the answer with this. Additionally, CDC may require the ship to do one or more of the following: Test all passengers mid-voyage and or prior to the end of the voyage, regardless of the passenger's vaccination status. They may increase the frequency of routine screening testing of crew. They could require mask use by all passengers and crew indoors in crowded areas. They could send written notification about the increased number of COVID-19 cases on cruise ships to passengers on the current, previous, or subsequent voyages. They also could offer a full refund for the cruise to any passenger who decides not to sail on the subsequent voyage, or they also could require the cruise ship to submit specimens for genetic sequencing. This is interesting. I'm really glad that they laid it out like that. It does seem like this is just a series of levers that the CDC can pull, but just from reading this blurb here, and please go back and listen to it again, just from reading this blurb here, it seems like the real investigation is to continue to watch the case counts on board and then do something if they continue to increase, which I'm fine with. Again, we don't need an excessive amount of oversight, and it's good that there's a lot of levers to pull. But sometimes when you hear like something's under investigation, you think that's there's something more significant going on here. And then these levers are pretty interesting. I've not seen yet anywhere where the CDC has offered refunds for subsequent voyages. Like I could imagine if all of a sudden there's a ship that keeps going up in case count, maybe they could say, all right, cruise line, now you're forced to offer these refunds. I haven't seen that happen yet. So let me say this, and we know that the CDC has also said it. We know that cruising is not a zero case endeavor. We know that there will be COVID cases on cruise ships. We know that. The cruise companies know that. The CDC knows that. I hope everybody knows that. And so there is a process in place to watch those numbers. And then if at some point those numbers go too crazy, then there will be some sort of intervention. And I'm fine with that. It's interesting to track along every week and see whether the cases are going up and down. And look, I've had a sneak peek of the data that's going to be popping out in the report tomorrow. And let me just say this. The number of cruise ships under investigation has changed, and well, I don't want to spoil it. You have to watch the report tomorrow. But if you want to see which 22 cruise ships were under investigation off of last week's report, make sure you watch this video next. This is Tony for Lido, Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.